Welcome back to the Greatness Everyday podcast, where I help you upgrade your mindset, your money, and more so that you can live a great life. In today's episode, I'm going to share something I really enjoy talking about, and it's how you can crush your day with a solid daily routine. If you like what you hear today and want to learn more about what I do, please head over to the Greatness Everyday YouTube channel and Instagram page, and let's jump into today's episode. This episode is sponsored by my 3V's coaching program. In this 4-week program, you're going to learn how to get clear on your values, how to develop your vision of a great life, and then how to create your plan and the vehicle that will make it happen. You can learn more by visiting our website, clicking the link down in the video description of our YouTube videos or on our podcast, and then you can get started living the life you want to today. So what we're going to be talking about is how to crush your day with a solid daily routine. And I have to start off by saying that with daily routines, it's been something that I have been working on for a long time. We're going to get into some of the deeper questions. Should you have a routine? Should you not have a routine? What are the benefits to having a routine? What are the opposite of that, the pros versus the cons type thing? Is routine right for everyone, and exactly what you should incorporate into your day? So that's what we're going to get into here in this episode. I want to really make sure that I serve you and provide you with a lot of value. So we may as well jump into it. And anytime you hear that word routine, or if I'm talking to somebody, maybe somebody that I'm working with, maybe someone just in a quick conversation, and I use that word routine, everybody seems to have an opinion on it, right? Everybody seems to either really, really love that routine, or they seem to hate routine. And there's many different reasons for this, right? I know some people that I looked at growing up, and I said, hey, I think they're really successful. And I know some people that were extremely successful because of their routines. And then on the flip side, I knew some people that were really successful and they really had a lack of a routine, let's say. So they didn't really have any existing routine. And for me, I'm the type of person that if I get into a really solid routine, will I build momentum? Will I stay focused? I can do my tasks longer. And for me, there's so much benefit when it comes to a routine. Does that involve waking up at 5 a.m.? Does it involve going to bed at 5 a.m.? Well, that's different for everybody. And I'm going to give you a list here of 19 or 20 different things that I've really kind of found over the years as I really look at this question of, should I have a routine? And if I should, what should it involve? Some things that I have found when I do incorporate these things into my schedule, into my day-to-day work, into my day-to-day routine, there are some huge payoffs when I do that. So that's one thing I'm going to give you here in this episode. But the reality is people love or hate routine. It's one or the other. It doesn't seem to be a middle ground. And for me, I am a person that likes routine. I mean, it's my summer break. I'm a high school teacher. And as I, in the past week, just went back to work, one of the things that I said, and I heard a lot of other people say, was I just enjoy getting back to work. Yes, I like to see the students. Yes, I like to see the people that I work with and do all of those things. But more importantly, I just really like routine. My body seems to like it. My mind seems to like it. There's a sense of calmness when you have that schedule that you can follow. And even though it might be really, really busy, it sort of relaxes me. So I enjoy routine. I'm going to tell you that up front, but I'm also aware through the coaching that I've done that not everybody does, and they either love or hate it. Hopefully, I'm not going to take my views and put those onto you too much in this episode, but what I am going to do is give you something to think about, give you something to incorporate into your routine. Whether you like routine or you don't, whether you build a few of these in or you build all of them in to your day-to-day, this is something that you're going to be able to take and do with it as you choose. So let's jump into these things first, but I really want you to incorporate some of these aspects into a routine that works for you. When I say routine, it doesn't mean that you're going to go out every single day for the rest of your life, 365 days a year, and do these things, right? That could be the case. It might not be, but it's for you to take and use as you see fit. So I've given you a framework here. There's 3 T's involved in this framework. It's something that I created. It's called Take It, Try It, and tweak it, right? I'm a science teacher. When everybody hears that word, they often kind of shudder because maybe they didn't have a good experience in science. Maybe they just don't like it. Maybe they had a bad chemistry teacher, physics teacher, biology teacher, whatever it is. But there's three things to that. And I really take it like a science experiment. You take something, you try it out, and then you tweak it and you make it yours, right? I just finished the book Shoedog by Phil Knight. Phil Knight is the person that created Nike, and he documents the story of how Nike came to be as one of the most powerful companies in the world. And for me, one of the cool things was I really had no clue about the aspects and really the massive story that went into creating a company like Nike. And when I looked at it, they were always taking things. They were trying different shoes out. One of the cool things about it is Nike came to be as a company as Phil Knight was a runner at the University of Oregon in their track and cross country program. And then from there, his coach, Bill Bowerman, he was kind of like a mad scientist. He would always be taking shoes and he'd be trying out different things. And then when he got the feedback from the runners, that wasn't good enough for him. What he would then do is go ahead, he'd get back into the drawing board and he'd try a bunch of different things and he'd start tweaking the shoes, because when it comes to distance running, you're always looking to get that advantage over your competitors. And it's not like now when we have so many different brands of shoes. At that time, the big players in like the running scene at least were Adidas and it was Puma. Those were kind of like the two main companies that were making running shoes. So if you have your whole field of runners racing, well, everybody's wearing the same shoes. All of a sudden, when you can start tweaking those and making some adjustments and changing a few things around, then you're going to be able to get those competitive advantages. And the same thing's going to apply here. That's a great book, by the way. If you want to check it out, it's Shoedog by Phil Knight. It's incredible to just really be aware of some of the stories that came to be when Nike came in as a company. And there were many times that they didn't become the company that they are now. And it also gives you a better insight to kind of some of the decisions that they made, even if they're criticized or not, a sort of behind the scenes look at why they made the decisions that they did. So that's a kind of aside, but I'm definitely going to recommend that here for you. And those of you listening to this podcast. But those three T's again were take it, try it, and tweak it. So we're going to jump into this right now. These are the daily habits that I use. I can say that when I do a lot of these, or maybe even all of these, I really know that, as we talked about previously in another podcast episode, I live within my values. My vision is what I stay focused on throughout that day, and I build momentum to do that in a longer time period. And then ultimately the vehicle or the action that I'm taking is going to get me there. So it's all related. And with these podcast episodes, I really want to make sure that as you listen to them, one off, you get a lot when you listen to a single episode, but more importantly, we're building on these things and we're really kind of chasing what it means to, as we do in this channel, as we do in this podcast, live a great life. That's this idea that we can choose greatness every single day, whether that's big, whether that's small, whatever that means for you, whatever that means for me. So this is a daily habits checklist that I want to jump into right now. And this is something that, like I said, you can do as many of these as you want. If you do none of these, I would suggest doing 1, 2 in the first week. Right? Trying to incorporate these 1 or 2 things into your routine. And after you've done that successfully, you're going to build on that and add something new, right? It doesn't make sense to just be doing absolutely 0 of these things and then going from there and stepping it up and trying to do all 19, because you're going to fail. It's not sustainable for people listening to this episode. Like 1% of 1% of you are probably going to be able to do that. Just go from 0 to incorporating all of these. So what I want you to do is build something that's sustainable here and that's going to work. What are some of these things that you could incorporate? Well, in the 5 a.m. Club, Robin Sharma talks about his power hour. And this is a piece that I've adapted into my routine because I have understood when I've done the research to really see what is involved in incorporating genius or mastery. And he starts his days, and he's looked at how the majority of really successful people start their days. And they start their days with something called the power hour. And I love this framework because it is so easy. It can be adapted to fit the interests that you have. It can also be adapted to just fit the needs that you have in life as well. So this is what it involves. The first 20 minutes is exercise, high intensity exercise. And what could that look like? Well, it could look like a bunch of different things. It could look like, for some of you, just getting out there and getting a brisk walk, right? It could look like you going ahead and doing a HIIT interval, right? High intensity work. Basically, you're in the gym, you're doing circuit training, you're doing something like that. It could mean that you go for a run, you go for a swim, you go for a bike, you do something else. But that is what first needs to open your body, get your body awake, get it moving. And then from there, you're going to move into the next 20 minutes, which is your morning reflection time. That's your time of reflection. And that for everybody could look different. Some people might choose to journal. If you're spiritual, if you have faith, you might choose to pray. If you want to go ahead and talk with somebody like a mentor, that could be factored into that time. There's a lot of different things that you could do in that time as well. But that's your morning reflection time. And then thirdly, that last 20-minute section here that we're going to talk about is going ahead and learning something new. And there's a lot of benefits that come from that. For me, I've been able to incorporate some of the things that I've been learning with my business into that time, right? That could be some of the ways I liked doing it, at least could be podcasting, listen to a podcast, watching a YouTube video. It could be reading. That's one of the best ways that I've really enjoyed as I'm doing the 75 Hard Challenge, and I need to read at least 10 pages of a nonfiction book every single day. I've gone ahead and read. And that's been something that I've been able to kind of double dip between what I'm doing, and it's paid off greatly for that. So those are like the first three things, but you can really take anything and make it that time in that first hour. Or maybe for me, I've been able to go ahead and extend some of those time periods. So maybe I do it 45-minute exercise. Maybe I do a 30-minute time of reflection and then a 30-minute time of learning. If I'm being honest, that last piece there of the time of learning is something that I really want to extend. And as I'm kind of going through the rest of my morning routine, is something that I really usually continue into that. Whether you're cleaning the house, you're making breakfast or something, it can usually be pretty easy to do. Obviously, then you have some sort of a morning routine after that power hour, right? You go to the bathroom, you shower, you prepare for the day ahead, etc. And then you shuffle that into eating a healthy breakfast. I do try to eat typically 3 meals a day, typically as healthy as I can, but I don't follow or subscribe to a specific diet. And every once in a while, I'm being honest, I have to have that good kind of cheat meal, let's say, a meal that I enjoy a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that eating healthy has to be some big laborious task for you. It can be something you enjoy, and it can be something that is quick. It can be something that is really, really good for you. So eating a healthy breakfast obviously is there. Next, fill up a reusable water bottle, right? Part of that challenge, as I talked about on our first podcast episode since we started up, is you need to drink 4 liters of water every single day. And trust me, when you start, if you're not in that habit, that is actually probably the hardest piece to do. The hardest piece of that entire challenge is the water piece, because unless you're into that habit and you're used to it, 4 liters of water, 1 gallon, just about over 1 gallon is a lot of water. Those first few days I was left at 11:30 trying to chug the last liter or so, just because I wasn't used to doing that. So if you can, start as early as you can in the day and make sure you take that with you, right? Having that water bottle's a great way to go ahead. Obviously, the benefits of drinking a lot of water, I don't think I have to go over. It's really good for you. And in my opinion, I would say from what I've seen, most people are dehydrated. Most people think they're not. Most people think they drink enough water. But from what I've seen, from what people have said, and also from really kind of the amount of water I've seen, friends that I know, coworkers, etc., drinking water, I don't think they're getting enough water. So really, I just want to make sure that I'm drinking enough water, and then we go from there. Obviously, throughout the rest of the day, I like to have a typical healthy snack, have a healthy lunch, and then I do often like to get active during your lunch break. Some jobs, this is easier. Some jobs, it isn't, right? Go for a short walk. Maybe that means you can actually get outside and go for a short walk. You can take a coworker along. For me, I typically like to go play ping pong at lunch or do something like that, get down into the gym. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but getting up and get moving on your lunch break is one of the best ways to kind of break up your day. And I typically find on the days that I do something like that, I have a lot more energy. That's one thing that I found biggest. And one of the best rewards for doing those things. Eating a healthy snack mid-afternoon would be the next, and then eating a healthy supper. Then what does after supper look like? So do a leisure activity in the evening. So by a leisure activity, really what I mean by that is do something that you enjoy. And for you in your time of life, in your family situation, in your work situation, this could be a couple different things. But by leisure time, what I mean is really go ahead and do something that you enjoy. That could be family time, spending time with your kids, with your wife, with your husband, with your grandparents. It doesn't matter what it is. Family time could fall into that category. It could be exercise. That's something that I really like to do. And obviously I have to do, doing 2 workouts a day. It could be a passion project, growing your YouTube channel, taking photos of something, creating art. It doesn't matter what it is. Leisure time is really important because it also does something that you enjoy, yes, but it also relaxes you. It also brings you purpose in the rest of your day. As we get closer to night here, stop using your phone at least 2 hours before you go to sleep. That's one of the biggest things that I've tried to do, and I do think I sleep better. If I can't block out that time and not use my device 2 hours before going to bed, I do have some blue light blocking glasses. They're just over there out of the picture now, but they're something that I use, and there's evidence for them. There's evidence against them. I'm going to go ahead and use them and really kind of just see what the benefits are personally myself. So that's what I like to do. Going ahead and having your night routine. It is really important to have a morning routine and a night routine, just in terms of like getting ready, using the washroom, maybe you have like a quick snack before you go to bed, etc. Because what that does is it starts as you're preparing and going through those motions of getting ready for bed. It tells your body physically it's time to go to sleep. It gives your body that warning, and then your body can start shutting down and then getting ready for sleep, which is the ultimate purpose of rest, right? That's the whole point of what we're trying to do. And so through that, I really like having a night routine. After that, I like to go ahead and have a nighttime reflection, which could be journaling. I do my gratitude journal. I didn't mention that piece earlier. That's what I do in the morning during my morning reflection. I like to sandwich that at the end of my day as well, just to make sure that I'm reflecting on, number one, what do I want to accomplish in the morning, but then in the evening when it comes around, I want to make sure that I'm going ahead and making sure that I was holding myself accountable by really kind of reflecting on the day that was, what happened, what I said to people, how I felt about things, etc. Maybe you pray, maybe you meditate. It could look like many different things. And then one of my favorite pieces for productivity is scheduling out tomorrow, the day before I go to bed. So for me tonight, I'm going to get ready for bed, go through this process, and then I'm going to double check and make sure that my next day is already scheduled out, because I want to make sure that before my feet even hit the ground when I wake up the next day, I'm jumping out of bed, I know what I'm going to accomplish, and I know literally why I'm waking up. So that's one of the biggest and best pieces that I have for you in here. Even if you don't go ahead and do these exercise pieces, or you eat healthy, or you drink water, or you do the gratitude thing, or you whatever, right? If you are going to take one of these things, I would really challenge you to schedule your days out before you go to sleep. That's one of the biggest bangs for your buck, in my opinion. And it's one of the things that I think that is really easy to do and that you're going to get a lot out of it. So go ahead and do that. I like to lay my clothes out for the next day. Just keeps the morning going super smoothly. Set an alarm and put your phone charging across the room or maybe even outside the room. If you want to go ahead and add extra settings like do not disturb, you can do that as well. That would be your call. And then lights out early. So those are about 19 different things that I really like to incorporate into my daily routine. When I can do those things, I find my days move along more smoothly. I find my days move along with me being more focused and me being more on purpose for what I'm trying to accomplish. So those are some things that I want you to now take the framework that we talked about, right? Number one, take it. Take this framework that I've gone ahead and I've given you, and I want you to be able to incorporate some of these things into your own routine, right? Just because these things work for me. And literally, there are some days that I can go through and say, I did these 19 things. But let's say you are married. Let's say you have 3 or 4 kids. Let's say you travel back and forth for work. Like, the reality is that would be really challenging to maybe even impossible for you at this stage of life right now. Right? So what I'm going to say is take this framework, take 1, 2, 3 of these things and work to incorporate them into your routine. That's my first challenge for you. The second T is try it. Go ahead and try it. Incorporate some of these things into your routine, into your day-to-day, and just see how it goes. You're not going to know what you truly think about doing something like your morning reflection, saying 3 things that you're grateful for, or actually filling out a gratitude journal. Maybe you're praying, maybe you're meditating. Doesn't matter what it is. You're not going to know how you really feel about those things, or if they also result in a change in your life, unless you try it. So that's number 2, try it. And then number 3 is tweak it. And by tweaking it, I mean taking those things that you're incorporating in, trying them out, and then you're tweaking it. You're changing it to work for you. So just because there's an outline for the power hour of exercising and then reflecting and then learning doesn't mean it's going to work best for you. Yes, there are reasons that Robin Sharma went ahead and put those things into his power hour and did them in the specific way that he did, but maybe you're going to go ahead and switch those last 2 pieces. Maybe you're going to do your reflection piece on your way to work, right? And you're going to be able to go ahead and do that learning piece right after, in the second slot, right after you've exercised for the day. That could be how you do it, but take it, try it, and then tweak it to make it work for you. Just because I like to get up in the morning and go for a long run doesn't mean you're going to. Just because I like to get up in the morning and do my gratitude journal doesn't mean you're going to. Just because I like to go ahead and schedule my day out or schedule my week out on a Sunday evening doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Maybe I schedule it out digitally. I schedule my week and days out digitally because I can access it on my iPad, on my phone, on my computer, and anywhere else that I need to. But maybe for you, you're just one of those pen and pencil people. Maybe you need to take a Post-it note and write it out and see it visually in front of you, right? That might be what works for you. So go ahead, tweak it, and make it yours. So if you want this daily habits checklist, I have this free to give away to people. You can go ahead and just contact me. Send me a message on Instagram, comment below one of our YouTube videos. And in fact, there's actually a daily habits checklist that you can go ahead and check out on our YouTube channel. But again, if you can't find that very easily, just message me and then I'm going to be able to send that over to you in the platform that works best for you. So I want to say right now, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this podcast episode. My name's Matt, and I really hope today's episode challenged and encouraged you in some way to upgrade your mindset, your money, and more in the pursuit of living a great life. To learn more about what I do, head on over to YouTube and Instagram and search Greatness Every Day. Find me there and give me some feedback. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know what you would love to see me feature here on as a future topic, and anything else. If you want to go ahead and drop a review on the podcasting platform that you listen to, whether it's Apple Podcasts, whether it is Spotify, or somewhere else, please go ahead and do that. We would really appreciate that, because that helps get our podcast out to more people. Thanks for listening. Remember, choose greatness every day, and I'll see you in our next episode.